Hello and welcome to Racers Now. It's the usual Thursday night slot with SD. We don't stop for festivals. We don't stop for Christmas. We don't stop for Easter. We deliver every single Thursday. Looking forward to the Saturday racing. SD takes charge during the jump season, but I will be making a return to the tip in front when the flat starts in a couple of weeks. SD, how are you?
Well, it's a long week, isn't it? It's quite refreshing to do form for places like Uttoxeter. It's
Yes,
quite nice.
Uttoxeter Midlands National, and SD is going to tell you that it is the most valuable handicap ran this week, and he would be factually correct. So well done to Uttoxeter. Kempton have the supporting meeting where we will be coming on to later. The first race we're looking at, that's on ITV4 on Saturday, is this nation's, this handicap hurdle, 2.5 miles. Yeah, 150 at Uttoxeter. Talk to me.
Well, I tried forever today when I had a good look at this race to take on this hidden history, but bloody hell, it should win. It really should win. I mean, it's gone from Chris Gordon to Skelton. I think the Skeltons are going to have a very good day at Uttoxeter on Saturday. It was second last time. The trip was too far. The yard won it last year. I think there's a lot of mileage in the handicap mark, and at the end of the day, you're looking for something that isn't there if you're trying to take it on. I tried to make a case of Blackinsop, and the rest of them are just exposed, badly handicapped crap.
Pretty straightforward for SD with the favourite in race one. I think that's what we both try and do is come on with a view to taking on favourites, but sometimes on that rare occasion, 1 in 20 races maybe,
Well, it's
you
not
just
1
got
in 20.
you just can't get away from the favourite, and that's what's happened there. Right, okay. Their second race from Uttoxeter on Saturday is the 225 handicap hurdle, again class 2. Very good prize money on offer here, over just under that 3 miles handicap hurdle.
This is jolly as well, but I mean, Joyeux Machin. We were at the preview show last week. Thank you to you all for coming.
Yep.
Whichever idiot said, "How dare you vape? Just piss off." But Joyeux Machin, I did put up last week for the Coral Cup. And the case was fairly simple. I think he's a very well handicapped horse who's running in the form, and I think a mark of 135 doesn't necessarily extend him. I think you can make a case for the likes of chasing out the Blues, who ran third in the race that had Doddy the Great in. Patriotic. I do worry about Patriotic. We got away with one. Okay, I put Patriotic up in a fairly weak race at Doncaster with Isabel Williams on, but the problem is at racing pace in a bloody competitive race, she is outridden completely and utterly. And several of the others have some sort of chance, but I think Joyeux Machin's a very worthy favourite.
Yeah, they got one coming over from Ireland there, Miss Margaret Mullins. Danny Mullins riding, blazed the way. Recently finishing first and second at Navan. So on Cheltenham week, that could be of interesting, but not to SD because he's on this joyous machine. Onto the 3 o'clock.
Machin, as in Stuart.
Stuart, yeah.
The
Onto the
shadows
3
of the
o'clock.
post are looming.
This is the Midlands Grand National, field of 17, which is decent. 90 grand to the winner, 4 miles, 2 furlongs. Where's your money going?
I'm afraid it's very boring. I did put this up in the weekly column, which of course you can read on oddsnow.com and buy your Spanish property on there and do whatever else you want. But Knockanore was a double figure price last week, and it was quite obvious to me anyway that it would go off so many a favourite. I mean, he absolutely waltzed it in the Ida. It was like an epiphany. He defecated over what were some reasonable horses. I mean, O'Connell was second, and realistically, £10 wouldn't stop him. It's going to be a different race this year. It's usually a bog fest, isn't it? They're hot deep in a quagmire. I mean, the growing at the moment is apparently good to soft at Uttoxeter, but I never can tell with the Clark. I remember in the summer I turned up one day, it was officially good. Then it changed to soft because he put some water on, and then it rained. I think realistically, if conditions are on the better side, Knockanore is by far and away the most likely winner. But I couldn't
A knocking
resist
bet. A knocking bet.
a knocking bet. Well done, well done. Plaudits to you. I couldn't resist a saver on Bodhisattva. Didn't jump that well in the eye, but was previously second in the Edinburgh National. Has shown a penchant for better ground, bottom weight. Callum's taking 5 off. I made the horse 14-16. It's 33. And at those sorts of differentials, you've got to play, haven't you?
Yes. And we will also be playing over at Kempton. Only the one Premier meeting on Saturday's Uttoxeter. Kempton is not novices limited handicap chase at 210 on ITV4. And we need a bit of a klaxon because this is going to be an SD 2-point win race. Fire away.
Well, watch Asta La Pasta last time at Musselburgh. It was given the most abominable ride by Harry Skelton. He set off like it was the Nunthorpe, honestly. It was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, did remarkably well to finish as close as it did. Clearly, the Skeltons have some very good chances at Uttoxeter, as David alluded to, but I think
Yeah.
I think this will win. Teddy Blue is second in. Look, did look good last time at Hereford, but is a very moody and sour beast, I'm afraid. Paddy the Caddy has done this column proud before. First Street just never wins, does it? And Move It Like Minnie just likes to run out. Could end up in the BP garage on the Sudbury Road.
Very good BP garage, that one is. Right, are we moving on to
Have you
another race?
been?
Yes, I think I actually have. Saw Dizzy Rascal once at Kempton. Really enjoyable. You wouldn't have.
Well, you're into this gangster rap, aren't you, Dizzy Rascal? Good
Yeah,
heavens.
Dizzy Rascal. And they used to let you go. It was on there. It usually clashes, doesn't it, with Sprint Cup Day? And they let you actually go into the parade ring and they do a disco there, which is a little bit different. You know, dancing within the parade ring doesn't happen all.
Do you
that
dance
often.
to Dizzy Rascal? I couldn't name you one Dizzy Rascal song.
Bonkers. I mean, it would suit you quite well.
Oh yes, I know that one.
Yep.
Bonkers.
Yep.
Yes.
Very good.
Absolute audionic pollution.
Right, moving on from the UK grime scene to the handicap chase at 320 at Kempton on Saturday, over 2.5 miles and a little bit. Where are you thinking?
I'm thinking that this is a very weak affair and Bad did win last time, but Bourbali is a lot better off at the weight, significantly so. I think but he's £9 better off Bourbali, and he did whack the last for a 10.5 length beating, and in a 2.5 mile handicap chase, that may well just be enough to reverse the tables. Bourbali is 7-1 and Bad is 11-4. Bad we could finally have found some good in Bad because he was a tricky customer who didn't like winning. But I do think that the weights and measures here sort of come into it, and £9 should theoretically be enough to see a swing. Bourbali likes Kempton, has an awful lot going for him. I think the mark's fine, and I was quite happy.
Some pretty confident selections from SD there this weekend. That's it, isn't it, for Saturday, SD? I have got another talking point to come on to. I've been to Cheltenham and I spoke to pretty much everyone that's been on the channel from a bookmaking perspective. Tim Brown I spoke to briefly, he was happy. Michael Cannon was happy as well. Pino I spoke to today was very happy. And Paul Garrity was much happier today than when I spoke to him on Tuesday. A couple of those I've alluded to, there's made a big difference to the betting ring. They ran a news story on it today in the Post in terms of you can take your drinks out there, etc. It did feel busy, and the bookies are happy. I don't know whether you.
I do think the choice of post interviewees is interesting. It's good. People can get on course. You know, they're not ripped off. Tim, for example, is a quarter the odds of every handicap over 16 runners. Now, most of the bookies, not all of them, who we interview on this channel, play what I would call a straight bet. That is, they will bet to opinion, they will lay favourites, they rather than going on a tracker where you can't win because they'll set it 2% above Betfair. So it's always better to look for the value in the ring. And typically, if a horse, so bad here is 11-4, if it's 375 on the machine, you, especially in the north, but the north bookmakers migrate south, you will find 11-4 on course. I think it's a good thing the ring is being reinvigorated. I think the other talking point, I think there's two this week, is I think the starter at Cheltenham is a complete and utter fucking job's worth.
Yeah.
It is complete. These starts are completely are completely unsatisfactory. I didn't have a bet in the Mares Novice Hurdle today, but if you back Maureen, you knew your fate 2 seconds into the race. It's a joke. The problem is these starters seem to have a sort of high pedestal of themselves and seem to like the control, and it's all very archaic and it's all very unsatisfactory, I'm afraid. I think the starts have been an absolute bloodbath this week.
Yeah, not
I
great.
think do you agree?
Yes, I do. It's been. I've not. I'll be honest. I've not watched intently any race, never start, finish, or middle. To be honest, really, I've been pretty busy. But yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the start and that one today on the Mizzard, or the opening race on Thursday where she was facing the wrong way. It's just, and you know who it is who gets screwed over in the end? The punters. The punters. Simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, there have been numerous occasions this week where they're coming in and you're thinking, just bloody let them go, your job's worth, and they never do. I mean, Robbie Supple wasn't a very good jockey, and he's an equally shit starter.
But as far as I can see, I'm no jumps expert at all. Definitely not a start expert. But they are starting to trot or move in from so far away from the line, the tape. It's no wonder, but that by the time they get to the tape, some of these races where there's 24, some young jockeys, some Irish jockeys, British jockeys, of course, French even. It's no wonder that they're picking up too much pace before.
No,
Before
but I have to say, in at least 50% of occasions, he should have just bloody let them go.
Yeah, you're quite
rather than being on some ridiculous power crusade where everybody in the country thinks he's a twat.
You're quite right. Your other point?
I think the other point this week is we wrote about this, but the Mares Hurdle, it shouldn't exist in its current form. It probably shouldn't exist at all. But if you made it 0 to 150, with the irony is we could have seen the champion hurdle winner in the Mares. It's absolutely bloody bonkers. Maybe make it 0 to 140. I mean, that Mares Chase tomorrow, what a joke of a race that is.
Yeah,
Should
but
be running bloody Plumpton.
The problem you've got, if you make it a 1 to 40 or 150, then it cannot be a grade 1, which is fine, no problem.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
I think the other point worth
in this country, they do not like giving up a grade 1 or a group 1. They
well,
don't like
maybe they should for the good of the sport. I think
like
the other point is the Ryanair today showed us what race factor file should have been in. Willie is going to said it after the race.
I disagree with that.
What do you mean?
It's tried over would be a gold distance twice this season. As Wizard said last week on the preview, the only reason it ran over that extended distance at last year's festival is because the owner had backed it for that race. And since then, when it won over 3 miles, which still isn't as far as the Gold Cup, when it won over 3 miles last year, he has since not hit those heights over
right.
3
Okay.
miles.
Let's assume the race doesn't exist. Where would he have run?
Probably in the Gold Cup or
right. Would the Gold Cup then have been a better race on paper?
Yeah, but there's a lot.
Right. Thank you.
There's a lot of runners not turning up in the Gold Cup. You can't just point that gun at Factor
No,
Five.
no, but you can point the gun when Factor Filers won. I think it was 4 seconds quicker than Colwell Potter today, and these championship races, they are not about cop-outs. Now, I'm not saying the Ryanair was a cop out, but what I am saying, you go back to horses like One Man who tried the Gold Cup and the Champion Chase. Is that these elite horses should be running together, and one way of doing it is getting rid of the Ryanair. I think it should come under serious consideration. It would. There's a perfectly good 2.5 chase at Aintree, but these sort of things, we want to see championship horses running in championship races, I'm afraid, and running against each other. The champion hurdle was a deeply unsatisfactory affair. partly because obviously Constitution Hill fell, and partly because some of the runners jibbed it.
But it is still 6 furlongs less than the Gold Cup, the Ryanair.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we're not talking a couple of furlongs. We're still talking.
Oh, but you just said it yourself. Factify would have run in the Gold Cup. It would have been very interesting to see how he went on. I mean, it smacked King George that performance today. It was very good. It was very good indeed.
Yeah. So no,
I'd just rather there be less races and more competition. That's it. I mean,
yeah,
tomorrow's Gold Cup, I don't think any of us can say is satisfactory. You've got, Grey Dawning did it very well at Kelso. Grey Dawning would have been an interesting horse in this. You've got the likes of Factifile who aren't running, and it's just not great.
But you wouldn't ever say Protector Rat or Ile Francois were.
Well, I think Ile Francais might have run in the champion chase, which wasn't the best. You know what I mean? They deviate. They'll jostle for position in these races, and it will just make the championship races better. There was always, up until 20 years ago, there were 4 championship races. There was a Stayers Hurdle, which really wasn't a championship race, but there was a champion chase, the Gold Cup, and the champion hurdle, and it was better.
And now over fencers, there is 3 options to open all ages at Grade 1, and in the hurdles division there remains 2 options. So that I see what your point is. But if I'm going into this race, and he will do what he wants, that fella who owns Factifile. But if I'm going into this week, that was the most logical decision for Factifile to go there. But anyway, we could be here all day, because on the flip side of that,
I agree. Yeah, because the program book allows it.
Yeah.
And I think the third point to make.
Go on then.
Is we've had Racing Blogger all week who doesn't show his losing betting slips but shows his winning ones, and then buggers off from Cheltenham earlier today and says, I'm not coming back for Gold Cup Day. I mean, a true racing enthusiast, if I'm going somewhere for 3 days, I make my money last for 3 days. I might take £5,000 to Goodwood. And you will roughly go 1,500 and 500 for spends. Now, if you can't budget that, I think there are societal implications for the racing blogger.
I don't really want to talk about it. I'm not interested.
No, but it's not a good look. We can all back the favourites.
Talking of not being a good look, SD, it became of no surprise to absolutely no one that Frankie Dettori has announced that he's going bankrupt today. I mean, I think we should have been given away when he started selling basically all of his household memorabilia that he'd gathered over 30 spectacular years in the saddle. No surprises there.
I found Frankie, I have to say, I'll tell you a story about Frankie. I'll tell you a nice story. When he was, I'd be 8, and I practically rugby tackled him off a helicopter at Haydock. I got his autograph, and he was lovely with me. But since then, my opinion has changed. We all make mistakes in life. Some of us, well, very few of us take cocaine, but Frankie did. And that thing with Listowel, where he was trying to charge them thousands of pounds so he could turn up, it's not a good look. Racing made you, Frankie, and he should give a little back. But how on earth you would go bankrupt? I mean, I don't know, but it's just another saga in the Frankie Dettori story. I'm not for 1 second saying he's a bad jockey. He's not, but he should just quietly just slip away from the limelight.
I was honestly surprised that he didn't ride at Royal Ascot last summer. In my opinion, I was really surprised.
Frankie loves attention. What he did, and you won't remember, but you'll have heard of the Magnificent Seven. It was a massive achievement, and the fame got to him a little bit. He was good in the early days.
Yeah. Right, well, on that bombshell, we'll leave it there. Just under 20 minutes. All the bets will be in the description as usual.
Next week,
yes, go on.
We've got the Mayor's Final at Newbury. There's something to look forward to.
We all need a Mayor's
Go North weekend, so Kelso.
And I think, SD, that next weekend may well signal the end of our Racers Now jump season, with the Lincoln coming the week after. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Flat season should start at the Lincoln, definitely, and end on
Well,
Championship Day.
just have a look what's on the week after, because I have a feeling I had a look at this. It's all weather or something.
It might be, but the Lincoln
Yeah.
should signal the start of the flat season, and there'll be another 50 quid bet, won't there? Are we having another 50 quid? Oh, he's gone. He's gone. I think he's gone. But on that bombshell, last weekend of the jump season on Races Now next Saturday, and then I'll be back with a vengeance, tipping in the Lincoln. Thanks for tuning in.